Is this the end of the International Criminal Court? On Tuesday, we brought you the explosive story of Karim Khan, the ICC Chief Prosecutor, being threatened by one of his own colleagues, British-Israeli ICC lawyer Nicholas Kaufman. According to ICC documents we've seen, Kaufman met with Khan for drinks in May and attempted to persuade him to either drop his arrest warrants against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, or allow Israel to challenge the accusations of war crimes privately. During the meeting, Karim Khan was told that if he didn't cooperate, that they will destroy you and they will destroy the court. Now, under the Trump administration, the chief prosecutor has been sanctioned, as have 4 ICC judges, with warnings that the US could even sanction the ICC itself. So can the World Court survive these sweeping attacks, or is the very framework of international law crumbling before our eyes? I spoke to Luis Moreno Ocampo, the former chief of the ICC, to hear his take on the fate of the institution he helped set up. Luis Moreno Ocampo, thank you so much for joining us.
No, my pleasure to be here. It's an important moment to discuss these issues.
I want to start by getting your reaction to a story that we broke on Tuesday. It involved the ICC Chief Prosecutor Karim Khan being threatened by another ICC lawyer, Nicholas Kaufman, who allegedly has ties to Netanyahu's government. He, in our story, tells Khan that if he doesn't stop trying to prosecute Israeli leaders, that he and the court will be destroyed. What is your reaction to this story?
Well, but can you that UK and US were threatening him if he prosecute Netanyahu? So this was a personal meeting with his lawyer that Khan knew because both are litigating before the ICC. So I don't think it adds too much to it, to Khan knowledge. Khan did his job. Khan, the important thing here is Khan did what he had to do. Investigate the case, warn Israel and Hamas that he will conduct investigation and will do request arrest warrant. Then he received pressure. He explained he will do it, and he did it. And the argument that the lawyer was using was that Israel could conduct its own investigations, because according with the law, that would be the way to stop the case. As soon as Israel conduct a national investigation, ICC will stop. But Israel is not doing that. Did not in May, and US was saying, oh, we need more time for Israel. Okay, November. The arrest warrant was issued in November, so Israel had plenty of time. It did not investigate. And even today, there are no investigation of the crimes. And in fact, yeah, so going back to your point, initial point is this is just illustrating the type of pressure the prosecutor had.
Because to your point, you know, the story goes that Kaufman was offering Khan this opportunity to take these investigations into the Israeli leader and the former defense minister into a private setting where Israel can address these accusations and deal with them without the result being made public. But doesn't this kind of undermine the very purpose of having an international court where these cases can be heard in front of the public and where leaders can be held accountable?
Well, but there was opinion of a private lawyer who, as he said, represented no one. So it's a good story to show the type of pressure the prosecutor had. For me, the question is, who is protecting the court? Because UK was attacking the court, Israel is attacking the court, US attacking the court. They are sanctioned. US is sanctioning the prosecutor and the judges. So who is protecting them? Where are the Arab countries protecting the court? It's the moment where the Arab countries, led by Tunisia maybe, or Jordan, there are 2 Arab countries members of the ICC, Tunisia and Jordan. But even Algeria requested the court to investigate the crimes. Palestine did it. So And the Arab League support that. So Arab League should support the court. Arab League should be active, supporting the court. That's the moment. It's it's not about what the private lawyer did. Was not. It's a marginal story. It's showing the type of pressure the prosecutor has. But the real thing is the court is doing its job. Is exposing crimes, saying Netanyahu should answer to the judges, and the court is under attack. Where are the Arab countries supporting the court?
What
That's the
kind of
question for me.
support should these Arab countries offer to the ICC to try and counteract these attacks that are coming from non-ICC members such as the US and Israel?
For instance, now judges and prosecutors of the court cannot use credit cards. So Arab countries can offer, look, we have this bank, use a credit cards. You can have this credit card. So Arab countries could do something specific to support the court, or politically supporting the court, making connection with the Europeans and the South Americans and the Africans who are supporting the court, and make a coalition of countries supporting the court. It's a time to be firm, supporting the law, because that's the only it's sad, but the only solution for the Gaza people is that the court are strengthened and respected. Nothing else.
But we've also reported on other attempts to intimidate the ICC prosecutor. Just last month, we had a story about David Cameron, who was then the Foreign Secretary of the UK, calling Khan and telling him just shortly before these warrants were issued that if he was to take this step and issue warrants for Netanyahu and Gallant, that the UK could take the dramatic step of removing itself from the Rome Statute. Of course, the UK is one of the founding members of the ICC. So clearly, some of this pressure is also coming from within the ICC countries as well, not just from outside of them.
No, okay. I think you're doing a great job exposing the type of pressure the prosecutor and the judge received, including from a private lawyer from Israel, including from the UK former Prime Minister. And the question for me is, can you do something similar? Follow up. Okay, these are the attackers. Who are the defenders? Where are the countries supporting the court? Where are they? And where are the Arab countries supporting the court? Algeria requested the court to investigate. Are they supporting it? Palestine requested to intervention. Are Arab countries supporting Palestine? So protecting Palestine requests. So if you can do a follow-up on that, that would be great. Because it's not just about who are threatening the court. There are many, including Trump, including Senators Lindsey Graham and others. So who are defending the court? Because Palestinians have nothing else. Nothing else.
Do you think that the ICC is in an existential crisis right now? I mean, as it stands, obviously the sanctions that have come from the US have targeted the ICC prosecutor himself. They've also extended to 4 ICC judges. The Trump administration has threatened they could extend those sanctions to the ICC itself. US sanctions are not something that any Arab country could really offer a meaningful counteract to. They are going to drastically impact the ICC's ability to even operate. Do you think the court itself is in a very precarious position right now?
Trump will last 3 years more as a president. The court is a permanent court. Court will survive. The problem is what happened with the world. Are we going to survive as humanity if we are killing each other? That is probably the question. It's not about the court survival, it's humanity survival. Can we live in a time when we're killing each other?
I mean, what do you think of this moment then? Many people, including Palestinians, look to the ICC as being symbolic of the rules-based order and the ability to seek justice in situations such as genocide, which is the one that we're seeing ourselves in. The ICC itself is a symbolic body that represents this rules-based order. Do you think that we are in a situation where that itself, the way that the word operates, the way that the agreed upon tenets of humanitarian law are themselves under threat?
Well, I think if we can use this moment as an opportunity to learn, we have to learn. What's happening today is you have people using crimes, genocide, crimes against humanity to attack civilians everywhere in Darfur, in Ethiopia, in many places. And many states accept that now. And that's bad. That's very bad. We say never again. And genocide now an accepted military strategy. On the other side, you have courts. The International Court of Justice say there's a risk of genocide in Gaza. You have the International Criminal Court, who indicted Netanyahu for starvation in Gaza. So these two models are at the same time. It's like you arrive to the corner in the street and you see the red light and the green light at the same time. It's confusing. And that's what's happening. The ICC, International Court of Justice, are the red light saying no crimes. Some states say, okay, I don't care about the red line, the red light. I go through. Okay, that's a tension, that's the moment. How to be sure we keep the red line and no car is moving on. That's a challenge. And that for me is the challenge for the journalists to present not just the conflict, the solution, discuss why the states are not stopping before the red light.
I mean, that is an important question. And you, as somebody with your experience in setting up the ICC and being the first ICC prosecutor, you would have come across a lot of these states that don't want to be prosecuted, leaders that don't want to be held accountable for their actions, some of whom that you have been at the forefront of prosecuting. What are those conversations like, and what kind of pressure can the ICC and other bodies of that nature, wield in order to try and bring about, or at least protect, some sort of framework of justice in the world that we live in?
Well, when I see what's happening in Gaza after 1.5, it's routine that kids are bombed. We need to react. We need to say it's not normal. This is not. It's abnormal. And the way to react is not just talking about. It's talking about Gaza, and saying, "Finish. This is illegal. It's a criminal activity. Should stop. Should be stopped." And the way to make this voice louder is supporting the court already existing. That's the new thing. ICC has just 20 years of activity, so we need to understand this is future. War is the past. Humanity will not survive if war is a mechanism to solve conflicts. There's a game called Fortnite, a video game very popular. The winner had to kill all the others. So Fortnite could be a good metaphor of the world today if we are not supporting, strengthening the courts and the legal system. So we need political leaders making efforts to protect the legal system. We need to integrate political power and legal standards. That's the only way to protect people in Gaza, in Ethiopia, in Darfur.
You have spoken about the role that Arab governments should be playing in trying to protect the ICC from these kinds of attacks. But I wonder what your message is to other countries, Western countries, who have attempted to stop Israel being held accountable, Israeli leaders being held accountable by the ICC, such as the UK, for example.
Well, it would be interesting to interview Mr. Cameron or interview the current Chancellor of Germany, who also said that he will invite Netanyahu. He withdrew after, because when people say, journalists sometimes say, oh, ICC is not working because Netanyahu is not arrested, Putin is not arrested. Well, Putin did not fly to South Africa. Putin did not fly to Brazil. Netanyahu could not go to Germany. Even the chancellor want to invite him, because he knows if he go to Germany, he will be arrested. Judges in Germany will order to arrest him. So that's why it's a moment, yes, you can expose the position of some German leaders or British leaders on this topic, but do more than criticize other leaders. Take the Gaza people and strengthening the court's decisions and the court activities is the way to protect Gaza, one of the ways to protect Gaza people.
I'm curious, when you were the ICC prosecutor, did you face these kinds of attempts to intimidate or blackmail you against doing your job?
Depending on the case, because sometimes they like the case. Look, for instance, Senator Lindsey Graham was recommending Khan and applauding Karim Khan when Karim Khan indicted President Putin. So when the prosecutor they investigate enemies, they are happy. When they investigate friends, I'm happy. When I request indictment for President Bashir, some countries were very unhappy, and some of them explained to me how important for them was oil in Sudan. So economic interests, political interests affect the prosecutor. So we know prosecutors should not take into consideration these factors, the political factors, the economic factors, should go ahead. And that's what the court is doing. And when you do that, yes, countries are unhappy with you.
There have been those who have criticized the ICC in the past of having a certain kind of double standard, of being, in the crudest terms, a court for African leaders in the third world, as some people have put it. When you hear that accusation, I'm sure that you have heard that criticism before, what do you say to that?
African victims need protection. Their full victims should be protected. Kenyan victims should be protected. That was my job, and I did my job. So the sad story is, when I was a prosecutor, there were almost no massive crimes in Europe or in many Asia, in the Middle East. Or the Middle East were Iraq and Afghanistan. But there were, and we start investigation in Afghanistan, and we cannot do it in Iraq. But in Africa, there were the most serious crimes. And that's why Africa was center of my attention, because the most serious crimes in my time were in Africa. Now it's gone. Africa is ignored because there are much more serious crimes everywhere. And that's why the world is complicated. In any case, the court is doing his job. Former President Duterte is in jail, showing the court is active, and that the court is permanent and it's not forgetting. It's still focusing on their full crimes. One of the leader of the militia is in jail, will receive a decision this year. So the court is doing its job. The people and judges have to understand how the work is working, and it's not just about the crimes committed. It's about who tried to investigate them and who tried to protect the criminals. Okay.
And when it comes to the current ICC prosecutor, Karim Khan, who is on a leave of absence right now because of sexual misconduct allegations, the role of the chief at the head of this court is now in question. The court seems to be unable to press forward with some of its the work that they've been doing, some of the arrest warrants that they've been pursuing, and at the same time there are these threats of sanctions. So when you take a look at where the court is, and we heard those threats before about the ICC itself will be destroyed if some of these actions were taken place, there are clearly people that are pursuing and whose interest it is to bring this court down. Do you think the court itself can survive this moment, and what does it need to do in order to retain its reputation, retain the respect that it has among specifically Western leadership today?
The court will survive. The court is a permanent institution. President Trump has 3 years more and will go on. So what happened today is that people, this is most important. No, it's not the most important. The court will survive. The allegations in Mr. Khan, the prosecutor, are under investigation. And it's the deputy prosecutor in charge. Her challenge is that, can she continue presenting the cases they are doing? They are informing they are doing cases in Venezuela. They are preparing cases in Libya. They are preparing cases more in Israel, including what happened in Ramallah, in the West Bank. So that is a challenge for the deputy prosecutor in charge. Show the court is still working. Keep doing. That's the only thing that's what we need.
And finally, Mr. Ocampo, I want to bring you back to what you said earlier in our conversation about the Arab countries and the role that they need to play in order to defend the rights of Palestinians to call for justice. What is your message to them?
Arab League should protect Palestine, and one way to do it is through protecting the International Criminal Court. Arab League should do that. The Islamic Conference should do that. The Islamic Conference was protecting the Rohingya in Myanmar. They should do something similar to protect the Palestinians in Gaza.
Luis Moreno Ocampo, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Okay.
That was former ICC Prosecutor Luis Moreno Ocampo. And you can read more of our coverage of Karim Khan and the ICC, including those explosive reports from our colleagues David Hurst and Imran Mullah, by heading to our website at middleeasteye.net.